Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in across the continent for another exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. If you're joining us for the first time, as so many of you, including our speakers, are today, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And you're catching us on a very exciting day because today, this is not just our first, but our second program in conjunction with the amazing folks at Wild Hope. Wild Hope is, don't tell the other series, my favorite series that we have ever done here as an organization because they showcase the most tangible, concrete actions being taken across North America and around the world to save species and habitats. Everything from tigers to leatherbacks, whale sharks, and more. We just wrapped up with Ellen in Wyoming talking about bats, and I'm so pleased you're joining us today for another very special program. Specifically, we are going to talk about reclaiming the Bear River with the Shoshone First Nation. I'm so excited to welcome in Brad Parry to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to begin with a little clip from our Wild Hope episode, and then we are going to get underway. But without further ado, since you're not here to listen to me, Brad, welcome to the program, and so nice to have you here today, man.
Oh, thanks, man. It's good to be here. It's good to be here with all the kids and stuff. I'm just sitting here in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Fantastic. Sorry. You were so energetic that it actually threw me off.
Sorry.
I love when people can match my energy. Way to go, man. All right. As promised, I'm going to play our little clip of the amazing work that you guys did in conjunction with our Wild Hope broadcasters, and then we are going to get underway with your presentation. So let me cue this up, and we'll do it right now.
We would have other Shoshone people come in and they would meet and they would dance and have ceremony.
Restoring our home. That's why we're doing this project, and we appreciate all the help. The tribe can't do it on its own.
Don't think of ourselves, think of future generations.
How cool is that? Man, what a cool lead-in. We've been doing this in a lot of our Wild Hope episodes, just talking about rewilding in general, bringing back habitats or species all across this planet. And so, Brad, that's just our intro to the story. I'm going to turn it over to you to fill in the rest, and let's take us away.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This will be a lot of fun. I am Brad Parry. I serve as the vice chairman for the Northwestern Band of Shoshone Nation. And in Canada, you would call us the First Nations, which is cool. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about the tribe and what we're doing. Shoshone is actually pronounced Sussegoy, and it means the people who travel by foot. And if you look on this map, you can see Shoshone Indian, Shoshone. They're all over the place when settlers came through and saw this map. This is the Great Salt Lake, California, Canada up here. So you can kind of see all of where we're at. This is a study that we're doing about hunting and camping sites from back in the 1800s and before then. This is the route we traveled. It's called the Bear Lake, and it has water, and there was always plenty of fish and food and buffalo and trees and all that sort of stuff. And so that's why we camped there. Our ancestors camped there. This is one of my ancestors. His name is Chief Segwich. He is my third great grandfather, and he survived what's called the Bear River Massacre and really started making sure that our people could live out in the free world. And here's Shoshone getting together. As you heard Patty say, they get together for ceremony and they love to dance. And this is one of those times. And in modern days, this is what our area looks like. This is the northwestern band of Shoshone area, and there's northern Shoshone and western Shoshone and eastern Shoshone and Duck Valley Shoshone. And so all over, this is the Great Salt Lake where I am right now. And that's just kind of hope to get you a little organized about where we are. And we want to show you our oral story about how we got to all those different places I showed you.
Coyote, he was watching all these people. They were making the basket, and then he's seen what they were putting in the basket, and what they looked like were little pine nuts, but actually little people. And then the coyote said, well, I need that. I'd like to have those things, because to him it was either I like to have all these people, or I like to have all those that food stuff in the basket. So he watched as they went to sleep. He grabbed the basket and ran from a different place to another area where he would fall asleep and open the basket just a little, and some of those things would fall out. Then he would hurry and get up, but he didn't notice that the basket was loose, and then he would go to another area, and as he set the basket down, it was open a little more, and then another group would fall out. And then he would go to all these different areas, through the wetlands, through the mountains, through the desert, through the meadows, and all these Shoshones would fall out. And then at the end, when he opened the basket, he opened it up and they were all gone. And that's how all our different Shoshone people scattered through all the area, because of the coyote carrying them in a basket made out of willow.
And there you go. That's how we got all over the place. In the clip that Jesse showed very, very early on, he said we were going to do an ecological restoration project. This is day one of that project. These are invasive species that shouldn't be there, and this is just a grazing field for cattle. And there's no trees growing, there's no water flowing through it, like there used to be back before 1863. And so we took a look at this and said, well, what do we do? What do we do? And we wanted to restore all of our natural resources. And so you can see the goal of the project, we want to mirror it as close as we could from the last time we camped there. The last time we camped there was in 1863. We need better water quality, and we need to prevent future drought in the area and create a cultura to utilize medicine and plants. And so we can really start to live off the land again. Like our people did. One of the things that we camped under was a wickiup. We mostly use this because we camped near rivers where willows and cattails and trees would grow, and so we can't build that stuff right now at that site because all of those plants are gone. And so for the restoration, we call it the Wuda Ogwa, which means Bear River Massacre Site Ecological Restoration Project. And so we'll kind of talk about that. Here's my second great grandfather, Chief Yeager, just hanging out. Chief Sagwich again with some family members. The reason we chose this, the reason we have this site is we were camped there in 1863. And the Army came down, and we didn't have any weapons or guns or anything, and we had to fight off the U.S. Army. And they killed about 400 to 450 of our people, and so we left. And this is the old map from 1863 that you can see where we were camped and the Army was. And in 2018, this land came up for sale, and so we bought it. We bought it because we want to save it. When you do projects like this and you're looking around, you find things. This is an Elko flint projectile that's 8,000 years old. We found it on our site, and we'll keep finding things the more we do stuff. We camped there in the winter time. You can see the hot springs that were there. That's why we camped there. We camped on ground that wasn't frozen because there were several geothermal or hot water running underneath the ground. So the ground was dry, and then you could go sit in all the hot springs and get rejuvenated. So this is part of the land that we need to restore.
Switching from a video to a thing is always the trickiest thing, but there we are. Perfect.
It's a full ecological restoration of the Bear River Massacre site. We purchased the land in 2018. We looked at it and we're like, this doesn't represent what we feel spiritually or how we connect to the land. And so we decided, let's do something with this here. Remove the invasive and bring back natural species. We basically moved away in 1863, and since 1880 until 2018, it really was just grazing land and farmland, and the entire site was just completely rearranged. No really flowing water, animals are gone, plants are gone, food's gone, medicine gone. We're trying to make it as authentic as possible, and so we did a full vegetation inventory of the site. So what was still growing there now that would have been native, and then what's there now that's invasive that we're going to have to push out. We said, okay, how are we going to regrow these things? And so we just decided, let's start taking cuttings. Let's take cuttings from the site, grow them in a nursery, and then bring them back to plant. To date, we've put in close to 60,000 native plants and trees with a lot of volunteer help. I think the biggest part of the project that we're taking on a recreation of natural creek meanders that were historically there. We call it Beaver Creek. It's just a lot of beaver. If you have a lot of beaver, then you have a lot of fish. If you have fish, you have eagles. That whole cycle of life goes through there. We're doing this because it's the right thing to do. Just kind of seeing the indigenous people, and especially the Northwestern Band of Shoshone, lead that sort of a way of like, listen, we're really trying to work with everybody to understand all sides of this to make a better place to live for our kids in the future, and because if we don't do it, I don't know who else will. And there we go with that. And so we talked about that, and part of the project is recreate stream meanders through the property like we used to, and little ponds. The reason we do this is to mitigate loss, so we don't lose so much water, get better clean water, and have clean water, and then it feeds the land, it feeds the plants, it feeds fish. You can see this is a fish that's called Bonneville cutthroat trout that's native to Utah. They're an endangered species, and you can see how clear the water is, and that's what we want to plant in our fields. And so this is our old camping site all through here, and I have to guess where we need to put these water streams so I don't dig up anything that I'm not supposed to, and that it will work. And so one of the things that we've done is take a photograph of somebody that we've known that was standing in a spot where he was last camped in 1863. If he'll work.
It's going to work. I have faith.
We got faith.
Maybe just pressing right on the keyboard. There we go. Perfect.
So that was our site. That was a photo of my Uncle Frank, Tim Bimbu Warner, and he camped. He was the son of my great grandfather, Chief Segwich. And so now we know where he was camped, and he was camped right here. And so all the other little teepees and stuff would have been all right through here and right through there. So we moved all of our water over here to make sure it gets back to the Bear River. And this is what we have to take water. We have to take measuring things to do water. And you can see, you can see how we are going to use the water to soak the land for the plants and the animals. We have to revegetate native species that we know, species that we lived off of. And so we have people that come and help us plant. This is my aunt and uncle harvesting pine nuts. That was a big part of our life, was pine nuts. And then we'll have Rios talk for a few seconds about some of the plants and importance. Do this.
Shoshone people who knew that our Creator was there because everything that they had on this earth was made from a higher power.
Avishtama nuana siktama nuasogoktama digwasi singapi dama haningwaloi dama digwasiktama mahanik siktama masuadoi masiwa. Today in our Shoshone land, we are going to gather and plant the plants before that our people grew, and we're going to plant them for our children, so that way they can also grow them and be able to use them, and that our Creator will watch over us so that these things will grow and help our children grow with them.
Yeah, so Rios is a spiritual leader that I talk to all the time, and what we want to grow is cattail. You can use this for the inside fluff for a baby's diaper, for inside your pillow, for inside your moccasin, so they don't get wet. A cottonwood tree these was what we would get our teepee poles from. You can also boil the bark into a tea, and it's good for headaches. And here's the willow tree, which is good for about everything. We made cradle boards, which is where you carried your baby, and we made baskets that were waterproof, and you use them in your homes, and you could eat it, and you could make flour out of it. And so it just was a really good plant for us. We talked about invasive species. This is what's called a Russian olive tree. It's not native to our area. And so what do? It just pushes everything good out, and it takes all the water away from the land. And so we have a lot of acres of this stuff to remove because it's taken up all the water and all the space for our new trees. And so you can see we've already taken out a lot of them right there over the last couple of years, and hopefully get more of them because they're in the way. This is what we do after we remove invasive species, is we go in and we start planting our trees. So they push out what's not supposed to be there, and they grow healthy. We put a pond in, and as soon as we put a pond in, we got some birdies. These are, I think, some of our cranes that we've got in there. Or I'm not a bird guy, but you can see that we've got stuff coming back. And we have a deer that's wandering through our place. This was all covered with Russian olive, and we took it all out, and now it's there. And so we've got natural grass that the deer will come and eat. This is the hot springs, and all of these things are not supposed to be there. And you can see the side is breaking down, and you can almost barely get in there to see. I went down there with a friend of mine, and he held me over this ledge right here, and I measured with a thermometer how hot the hot springs were, and it was 200 degrees. And so I told my friend, "Don't drop me," and he laughed and let me hang there for a minute. But that would boil a steak and your eggs and everything. And to do this project that we're talking about, it's going to cost $13 million. And so we've had to raise $13 million from people who just want to donate, from grants and everything. And so it takes a lot of money to do something like this. And so it's quite hard. But we think that when the tribe use their cultural values to enhance resources, the benefits are to everyone. One of our biggest concerns here is the Great Salt Lake, and that's what Utah's known for, is the Great Salt Lake, and the Great Salt Lake is going away. We can give another 10,000 acre feet of water per day to the Great Salt Lake. And an acre foot is if you look at a football field and fill it up with 1 foot of water, that's an acre foot. So pile 10,000 of those high, and that's how much water we're going to contribute to the Great Salt Lake. In the olden days, we called it Ditsipagani, or home of the bad water. And so we've always been there. We've always known the Great Salt Lake, and now now because we're in a drought, it's going away, and we want to save it. And you can see this is the first photo. This is another first photo that we've taken of the ground. And here's what we want to turn it into. These are our goals, and we already have a lot of these planted, and we'll have the water and stuff come through. So that's our goal, and we're working real hard to do it. So anyway, thank you for listening to me, and I think I'll stop sharing the screen and we can go to some questions. Is that Jesse?
Sounds great, Brad. Thank you so much, man, for such great videos. What a cool story, and so much, again, direct community involvement. Like, it seems like this is the nice thing with conservation, is that when I was a boy, conservation was a lot of like, oh, rich people are going to go somewhere else and, set aside a big tract of land and do nothing with it. And it's pivoted so much to community-led efforts from the ground up to loop in a bigger tent to make positive difference in pretty much everywhere, which is just so spectacular to see. Way to go for all the fine work. Professional detachment is out the window. We've had a bunch of questions come in, one of which is, how many people are volunteering or working on this? So when you're doing these things like replanting, getting water back, like what's your team look like?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the volunteers first. Last year when we did a planting day over 2 days, we had close to 1,000 people volunteer. The year before that, we had 400, and we didn't know if we could handle that many people, but we found out that we could. So my team consists of, I've hired a biology group because we need those people, and there's 4 or 5 of those guys and gals that I work with. We had a hired engineering firm, and there's 3 or 4 people that work through us there. They do all the engineering, so we get everything right. And so when we build something, it's good. We use colleges here, Utah State, University of Utah, and a lot of their students come out and volunteer, and those have been hundreds. We have a bird person that does all of our bird surveys. We survey bats and snakes, and so we have a really lot of people that are in our team to make sure this goes forward. But the volunteers are the best. They're the funnest to work with.
I've got to say, the fact that you sort of casually said 400 the year before, 1,000 last year is wild. Like every group in the world would love to have that kind of rise in the number of people that want to support the work they're doing. Way to go. Question about what you're wearing. So we've had this come in. What does this symbolize? What's it all about? Tell us more.
So this is a bolo tie. It's a traditional Shoshone tie. It's made of beads, and it has the raw buckskin on the back that you smoke to get that, so you can smell that. This is something I wear when I talk to people, because when I got voted on to tribal council, we had one made for all 7 of us, and so the 7 of us match, and so it just means that I'm a Shoshone leader, and that I like wearing it. I think it's beautiful, and it's it's a lot of fun.
Very cool. It is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. You talked about replanting, bringing back all these plants. Where do you get the plants? I know this might sound like a goofy question, but is there a greenhouse? Is there another community that you're taking them from? Are you growing them from scratch? What's the deal?
That is a great question. That is a great question. So we take cuttings of like willow trees and cottonwood trees and cattails, and we take them to a nursery, and they grow them there. And they grow them for about a year after we cut them from the place that we're on, because if you do that and you grow them in the same soil, when you transfer them back to replant, they already know the area. They're familiar. Their friends are all there. And we just have a nursery that grows other things for us. And we go around and collect seeds. And we have there's seed makers that are here that will gather seeds, and you can purchase what sort of seeds that you want. And they'll mix them all together in a bag for you, and you go out and plant them. We have a lot of people that offer to donate stuff, and so, but mostly we cut our own stuff and grow all of our things from a nursery that's in Utah.
Yeah, how cool is that? Thanks, man. All right, how will you know when you're done? Is there like, I mean, when you're reclaiming a river, when you're doing all this great work, is there like a benchmark? You're like, okay, we can finish from there, or is it like work that goes on forever? Tell us more.
So it really is that work. It really is that work that goes on forever. And so, but we'll know we're in a good spot when we have the new river running through, when our trees, we're going to plant 200,000 trees, and we've already planted about 60,000. And so we have a long way to go. And so we got to get those planted. We have to remove another 20 acres of invasive species so we can plant those plants. Once we have everything in the ground and the water running through there, we'll watch it. We'll just monitor it. We'll maintain it. But it'll have to be watched for about 15 to 20 years. But at that time, everything will have grown and Mother Nature will have taken over and does everything for us. And so we don't have to manage it anymore. So we're hoping to finish in a couple of years with the things I said to you, and then go forward.
I'm going to harp on some invasive species stuff in a second, but as a personal question, is there a celebration or commemoration or something that you're planning, and maybe you're not able to share that right now, for when the river runs through it, basically? Like, is there something that you want to do to commemorate this when you feel you've succeeded?
Absolutely. We're going to absolutely have as many people out as want to come, because it's outdoors, it's an open space, and we want to share that with everybody. And we're probably 2 years away from doing that. And so we're planning all the things that we need to do to get ready.
So nice. We did a Wild Hope program earlier this week on bison reintroduction, and just the whole community coming out as you release these animals that have not been on the land in, hundreds of years, brought in from Elk Island National Park in Alberta. And it's such a special thing when you can really point to and see something like that take shape in such a beautiful way. It's sort of what Wild Hope is all about. It's what this episode is all about. So Thank you very much. All right, more questions. Favorite part of all of this? I mean, you get the chance to be involved in a lot of things with a lot of different people. Is there something specifically that gets you up in the morning about all this work?
Yeah, it's actually getting to work closely with my team, who have become my friends, and to figure out problems. We didn't know exactly where to do the river, and so I had to do a lot of history research, and I love that. And I love that when we come together and we put something together and it works. That's my favorite part, to see something work. And the trees are growing, to see that. That's my favorite part. And getting to work with all the volunteers and all the different people, that's my favorite.
What a nice answer. Well, this leads perfectly into our final question. Time flies when you're having fun, and you've answered a lot already, which is spectacular. Are there other communities that you're working with to take your successes and bring it across the United States to other Indigenous communities? Can you share a little bit more about that? Because I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, so we're mostly working with people in the state of Utah. So like the governor and lieutenant governor have asked us to go around and talk to different irrigation companies and different people with land and kind of do this. And in turn, they give us comments and support. And we work with agencies like Trout Unlimited and Western Native Fishery. And so we have all those people that we work with, and we're trying to spread the word. And so there are several communities in northern Utah that are following our lead, because the goal is to get out of the drought and save the Great Salt Lake. And so other Native communities have come out and asked us what we're doing, and we're all very far from each other, and so it's hard to go up there and work, but we talk and get to know each other, and so that's good.
How spectacular. Brad, I'm grinning ear to ear. My face hurts from smiling, which is a great problem to have in a conservation broadcast. So thank you for sharing your passion, expertise, all of it. Before we wrap up and say farewell, is there any last message about reclaiming the Bear River you want to share with us before we say goodbye?
Yeah, just everybody can have fun, and when there's water around, and to keep protecting it so you can fish and ski and swim and do all that kind of stuff. So reclaiming the Parry River to the northwestern band of Shoshone Nation will please all of our ancestors and all of us today, and hopefully all of our friends and neighbors.
It's a beautiful message, and I want to harp on something from sort of the broad view out as someone who gets to hear a lot of conservation programs, and it's something that I hear specifically about from, again, the Osage Nation we had on the other day, the Shoshone Nation. Just the land as a place to be for both people and wildlife alike is something that really is starting to be something that kids across Canada, I grew up in Toronto, are starting to learn about and incorporate into their like early stage lives. But it's something that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. And it's such a beautiful way of looking at the landscapes around us, because it can seem like, oh, we're in a city. We're surrounded by cities, the food's at the grocery store. We've gone out to a park for a day. And when you reframe it as, even if we're in a city, we're part of the land, and our stewardship of the land is very important to our own survival too, and our own thriving. It's really just such a mental shift that I think has been leading to some really amazing things in the last few years. So I'm so glad you talked all about that, Brad. Thank you so much. And that's our end of our show. We're going to say farewell from there. Have a wonderful day. Keep up the amazing work, and we look forward to seeing